Now, the earliest time you can start activity A would be today. The earliest time for the first activity, we always use 0 because that is when we are starting. So we've not exhausted any time, so we are now. But how long would it take us to finish this activity, which is what we call our earliest finish time, which is EF. So you see here on the left side, this one here is our earliest start time, and then on this side here we'll have our earliest finish time. So it's going to be the same for all the notes that we have here. So now, so the earliest finish time would be this earliest start time plus the duration. So here we are going to have 3. So 0 plus 3 is 3. You get it? Now, once I am done here, the earliest finish time for this activity becomes the earliest start time for the next activity. The point is, the information says that, well, we can start activity B when we've completed activity A. So when are we completing activity A? It's after 3 months. So when can we start activity B? It's when we've exhausted 3 months. So for 3 months. And then when can we complete activity B, which is our earliest finish time? The earliest time we can finish activity B would be 5 months. Now, activity C is also preceded by A. So it means that we can also start activity C after 3 months. So here, the earliest finish time here for activity A becomes the earliest start time for activity B. So here, then I now have the earliest finish time would now be 4 because it's 3 plus 1 and it gives me 4. Okay, so let's come to activity E. Now, activity E here is preceded by B. Only B. So the earliest time we can start activity B will be after 5 months when activity B is completed. And then the earliest time we can finish activity E would be 6 months. Okay, so then let's see. For activity D, it is preceded by activities B and C. I hope we can all see that. So you do see that this is activity B and this is activity C. Now, these two precede D. So when is the earliest time we can start activity D? We will complete activity B in 5 months. We will complete C in 4 months. Let me give you 3 seconds to guess. Okay, so I hope we all guessed right. Activity D, the earliest time we can start activity D would be 5 months. So if you got that right, I hope you should be giving yourself a big thumbs up. What this is saying is that, you see, if this needs 5 months to be completed and this needs 4 months to be completed, we can only start this when the period or the activity with the longest time is completed. Consider the case of, I think we all like birthday parties. So let me use that one as an example. You see, if the birthday person has to cut his or her cake, now we need our guests to be seated, and we also need the cake to be available before we can cut. We can call the birthday boy or the birthday girl to cut the cake. So if it will take us 4 minutes to bring the cake to the birthday venue, and also take 5 minutes for our guests to be seated and all comfy waiting for the cake to be cut, we cannot cut the cake after 4 minutes. In that case, fine, the cake would have arrived, but the guests wouldn't have been seated. But if we decide to cut the cake after 5 minutes, then what we are saying is by then the cake would have arrived and then our guests would also have been seated. So that's just the basic analogy here. In doing the forward pass, when you have 2 or more activities coming into one, like in this case you have this one coming here and this one coming here, we pick the earliest finish time of the highest earliest finish time of the set of activities coming here, and between 5 and 4 the highest is 5. That's why we pick 5. Okay, so then for activity D, the earliest finish time will now be 8 months. Okay, so let's look at activity F. For activity F, there's only one activity coming into it here, and that is from activity E. And so the earliest start time would be 6 months. Okay, and then the earliest time we can finish it would be 6 plus 1, that is 7. And then for activity G, well, we have 2 activities coming into G. We're saying activity F and D. It will take 7 months to complete activity F and 8 months to complete activity D. So the earliest time we can start activity G would be after 8 months. I hope by now we've all gotten the rubric, and it makes life that easy. And then so the latest time, or the earliest time, sorry, we can finish activity G is going to be 9 months. So this 9 months here becomes the project completion time. So the entire project can be completed in 9 months. That is what so once we are done with the last activity, once you found the earliest finish time for the last activity, that becomes that last value here, or the earliest finish time for the last activity is your project completion time. Okay, but that is just for the forward pass. Now we're going to do the reverse of the forward pass, which we call the backward pass, to help us find the critical activities and then our critical path. Okay, so here, this procedure here is helping us kill 2 birds with 1 stone. We're doing one procedure and we're killing 2 birds. So we've already found our project completion time, which is the C part of the question. And then we'll do the backward pass and find our critical path. Now, in doing the backward pass, it is the exact reverse of the forward pass. The forward pass was done from left to right. The backward pass will be done from right to left. And alright, and then when we were doing the forward pass, we added the earliest start time plus the duration to get the earliest finish time. This time around, we are going to subtract. It's just that easy. So here again, we'll just reproduce this same value here. So this time we are going to start from activity G backward to activity A. So we're starting from top to down. So here, the latest finish time, which we call LF, here is 9 months. And then the latest start time for this one would be 9 minus 1, and it will give us what? 8. Are we okay? So that's that easy, isn't it? So this time around, consider the arrows. Pretend the arrows now face backward. Please do not indicate an arrow here. Otherwise, you're going to say it's a back and forth movement, which is not what the question said. So just imagine the arrows are now going backward. You're moving from this activity backward. So this time around, you're kind of saying this arrow here is coming into this one. So when you take activity F is coming from activity G. You get it? So it's like this arrow. The only arrow coming into F backward is from G to F. So this time around, the latest start time of activity G becomes the latest finish time of activity F, just like we saw in the previous scenario. So when we're doing the forward pass, I mean. So here, it's the latest start time here becomes 8 because the latest start time here is 8, and the latest finish here becomes 8. So 8 minus 1, we have 7. I hope that was easy. Okay, so then let's continue here. So let's start. Let's get to activity E. So you do see again that activity E here, okay, activity E here has only one activity coming into it, and that is from activity F. Okay, so the latest start time for activity F is 7. That becomes the latest finish time for activity E. So this is 7. So 7 minus 1, we have 6. Okay, and then you also do see when we come to activity D here, the latest start time, there's only one arrow from G again coming into D. So here the latest start time here will be 8, and 8 minus 3, we have 5. Okay, I guess things are getting easier and easier and easier. Okay, so let's finish it up. We're almost done. We have like 3 activities. Okay, so if you come to activity C again has only one arrow coming into it from D. And so the latest start time for D is 5. So 5 minus 1 would give us 4. Okay, so we are almost done. Now, when I get to activity B, this is interesting. It looks like there are 2 activities coming into B. You do see that activities E and D all seem to be coming into B. You look at it from here to this point, and then from here to this point. You get it? So if you're going backwards, like this one is coming here, this guy is coming here. So the latest start time of activity E is 6, and the latest start time of activity D is 5. So which one do we pick? Think about it. We said when we're doing the forward pass, we pick the highest, and the backward pass is the exact reverse of the forward pass. So the answer is obvious. We are going to pick the least. But what is the reasoning behind it? You see, if you look at what we are doing here for the backward pass, we are looking at latest finish times and latest start times. Okay, and then the objective of doing this is to minimize duration as much as possible. We want to ensure that our project is completed within a certain possible time frame, and then we want to avoid delays. And so what we really want to do here is, if you're considering latest start times, 2 latest start times, then the best you pick here would be the least. Think about it. If you were to have meeting with 2 people who would say, well, I think I'm going to be 6 minutes late for our meeting, and the other one is also saying, well, I'll be 5 minutes late for the meeting. I think obviously you love the guy who would be 5 minutes late. Although they are both late, one's late is bad, kind of worse than the other. So here, when you're doing the backward pass and you have 2 activities, 2 or more activities actually, coming into one activity, then you pick your latest finish time would be from the activity with the least latest start time. So here, this is 6 and this is 5. We'll pick 5. Okay, so 5 minus 2, what we're going to have here is 3. Okay, so we are almost there. Now, so again, if you come to activity A, it's just the same scenario we just saw. You have activity B coming into A and activity C also coming into A. Now, so what do we do? We consider the one with the least latest start time. So activity B has the least latest start time, and that is 3. And so when you put this here, 3 minus 3, what we're having is what? 0. So definitely, when you are done, your latest start time for the last activity, I mean when you're doing the backward pass, you must definitely get 0 here. There are other instances that you can have more than one activity, right? Being the initial activity. For instance, I can have activity A, B, and C, all not having predecessors. They could be the initial activities. There must be one that must have both its earliest start time and then the latest start time all being 0. If you do not have that happening, then you've made a mistake. So for instance, supposing we had mistakenly chosen 4 and we write 4 here, this will be 4 minus 3, we will have 1. In this case, there's a problem. It means we got it wrong. So definitely your earliest start time for the last activity must be 0. Okay, so we are done. In fact, we are just done. Now the next thing I want us to do is to find our float, or what we call the slack. So I'm going to take this off. Okay, so I'll take this off, and then we will compute what we call our slacks. The slacks will help us identify which activities are critical and which ones are not critical. Now, in finding your slack, let me just bring this single piece back. Your slack is just the difference between your earliest finish time minus, it's your latest finish time minus your earliest finish time. Are we okay? Or your latest start time minus your earliest start time. Your latest minus your earliest. So it's just either of the pair. For instance, if I cover this side, let's consider activity A. Let's assume I cover this one here. What I'm left with here is my earliest finish time and then my latest start time. So the difference between this minus this would give me my slack or my float. Or if I do this one and this one, that would also give me. So either of the pair would. So it's just down minus up to the right side, or down minus up to the left side. So what I normally advise my students do is present this in a table. So what I just do is I'll draw a little table here. Now, so because either of the two would give you the same answer, you don't necessarily need to pick all of them. So I just say activity, okay, and what I'm going to do next is to just list my activities. I have A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Okay, so then the next thing is to put, now I am right-handed, so normally I prefer this one, this pair to this pair. Well, in any case, look, 3 minus 3 is 0, 0 minus 0 is 0. So in any case, you will get the same answer. I will take you through and then we'll see it. So what I'm going to do is, I prefer my latest finish time minus my earliest finish time. You can also decide to pick your latest start time minus your, either of them would get the same thing. And then what I do here is my slack. Okay, so I'm just going to pick these values one by one. So when we take activity A, what is the latest finish time? It is 3. And then the earliest finish time for it is again 3. Now, if I take activity B, the earliest finish time, the latest finish time is 5, and then the earliest is, so this is 5, this is also 5. When I take activity C, so this is activity C, this is my latest finish time, this is my earliest finish time, so it is going to be 5 and 4. So I take activity D, so again this is D, this is my earliest finish time, and this is my latest finish time, sorry, and then my earliest finish time. So D is also going to be 8 and 8. Then I'll take my activity E, isn't it? So I'll take activity E, and E is going to be 7 and 6. And I'll take my activity F. So we can see activity F here, it is 8 and 7. So this is 8, this is 7. And then the last one is 9, 9. Okay, 9, 9. So like I said, to find your slack, it is just your latest finish time minus your earliest finish time. Okay, so I hope this is, so, and I've written it here. So we'll just do this minus this is 0, this minus this is 0, this minus this is 1, this minus this is 0, this minus this is 1, this minus this is 1, and this minus this is 0. Okay, so now we are done. We found our slacks. Any activity with a slack of 0, right? Any activity that you had 0 for as its slack is a critical activity. So we have 4 critical activities here. So we have activity A here being a critical activity. We have activity B also being a critical one. D is 1, and then G is 1. So if we are to answer the question which says we should identify our critical activities, then our critical activities are going to be A, B, D, and G. These are our critical activities. So you know, it's that easy. Now I want to show you the critical activities on the graph. So I'll go back and call my graph. We said A to B to D to G was our critical activity. So I'll bring it here. So let's just watch this critically. So I'll try and make it a little closer to each other, and let's see. So starting from A, if my critical activities, okay, so I hope we can all see this, is A, so the path is going to be A to, so just notice the one in blue, A to B, right? And then B to D. So there's B to D here, there's B to D here, and then the next one would be my B to D to G. So where's my D? This is my D to my G. So this is it. So this is my critical path. So my critical path looks like this: A, activity A to B, and then B to D, and then D to G. Okay, so if I want to hypothetically draw this on maybe present this in my answers, then these are the critical activities. So let's say these are activities. Now, if I want to show my critical path, so critical path, so okay, so let me just critical path, then what I have is going to look like A to B to D to G. So when indicating the path, we use arrows like this, and then you're done. And then your project duration, so these are my critical path. My duration was 9 months. You're done. You've answered everything. So if you look at the requirements of the question from the slides, we drew our network diagram and we did everything. We identified our critical path, which is A to B to D to G, and then the expected completion time for the project is 9 months. I hope so. You can see the solution here in the question A to B to D, and it's 9 months. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the session. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.